Welcome to Legends Live, hosted by the National Basketball Retired Players Association, the official home of NBA and WNBA legends. Now, today we have two WNBA legends joining us. We have two-time WNBA champion, author, PhD student, basketball coach, businesswoman, Yolanda Moore is here joining us today, and she'll be chatting with one of our all-time favorites, WNBA legend and LA Sparks executive, Rushia Brown. So let's welcome them both to Legends Live. And viewers, don't forget, if you have a question, just type it in and we'll ask it on air. So here we go. Welcome, Rushia. Welcome, Yolanda.
Hey.
Yo, it's so good to have you on, Miss Yolanda Moore. Thank you for joining us.
Girl, thank you for having me. You and I always have great conversations, just, ourselves. So I was excited when you invited me on. This is going to be good.
No, I'm excited too. Did you share? So make sure you're having your watch party?
I did. I followed that
well, very good.
well. So I did all the steps and it should be good to go.
All right. We want your fan base to be able to watch you as well while we interview you. So, we're going to get right into it. And I was excited about having you on today because I, as your friend, I know your story. But I think a lot of people see you as this woman, a basketball player, very accomplished, but there's so much more that you've done and been able to establish in your career. So we're going to start at the very beginning. Like, when did you fall in love with this game?
Girl, I think about third or fourth grade. I grew up in a small town in Mississippi and called Port Gibson, Mississippi. So it wasn't a whole lot to do. And sports were like our thing. So I learned, I was taught the game at a very early age, like the basic fundamentals, right? And Coach Liggins, he was like our junior high coach. He would let myself and his daughter sit on the bench with the middle school. It was junior high then, but with the junior high team, we were like third or fourth grade. We never got in the game, but we had a uniform and everything. We were sitting on the bench. So that was like, it was like amazing just to be a part of that. And so every Saturday, we would go to like Natchez and we would play against other teams, like a Pee Wee league or what have you. And it was just fun. But girl, I was terrible. I was horrible when I first started playing. Coach Liggins told me years, he was like, Yolanda, you were the worst player I'd ever seen in my life. So if there's anybody out there, you terrible now, honey, just stick with it. But I ended up, that's exactly what I did. I mean, I loved it because it was like that place, you find this place like you can breathe, like you can be yourself, you get confidence, you get to be with your friends, you get to travel a little bit. And I just fell in love with it and I got better at it. And then I started to travel with AAU and I was able to leave Mississippi. Okay, so I was able to travel to other states and other parts of the country and just see different people, meet different people and things like that, and found out that, I can go to college playing basketball and possibly play professionally back overseas then. So I just kind of wrote it out. And I grew up doing, like on a farm, kind of, sort of. I did that kind of work. Like I did during the summers, we would have to plant potatoes and, I did all that stuff. So I threw myself into basketball. If it was going to get me out of there, this is what I was going to do. So obviously just stuck with it through high school and became really good. And our teams back then, they were really good. They were known for winning state championships, known for producing really, really great, great players back then. So we had our program had a good reputation. And by the time I got to be a senior, I was pretty decent. I was the one. So we won state championships. I ended up being, player of the year in Mississippi, a high school All-American, all that stuff. And I ended up going to Ole Miss. Ole Miss back then was like, they were one of the elite programs in the country. They played on TV, which was huge. We didn't have social media. So to see, basketball, women's basketball on TV for me was huge. And they were a school that was in my state. It wasn't too far away from home, but it wasn't too close to home. And I knew a lot of the players who had gone there. They had a really good reputation. I loved everything that the program and the team stood for. And so I chose to go there. And I had really high hopes, going in. But in between the summer and me becoming a freshman, I injured my knee, so I had to have knee surgery my freshman year on my right knee. And then shortly after that, I became a mom. I was a teen mom. I had a baby my freshman year. Scared.
Now, let me step in for a second there, because your career is the beginning of it is going really well. You've set your eyes on a prize. You were able to get to the college that you wanted to go to, and then not only the injury, but you became pregnant. So how does that impact your mindset? Just knowing that you'd worked so hard for something, and now, it's not something that's going to keep you from establishing your goals. But how do you know what that looks like to move forward? What was your mindset?
Honestly, I didn't know what it looked like moving forward because I had never been injured. I didn't know anybody personally who had ever experienced anything like that. So my mindset, and I don't know if it was just not being naive or being really, really just driven, but the only thing I knew to do was to keep going because I didn't have anything else. Like this was the plan. And even though I had this injury, and even though I became pregnant, in my mind, I was trying to figure out how do I make this work because I can't return the baby to sender. I can't undo the, like I ain't no receipt. I can't give her back. Like she's coming. And how do I can't do anything about the knee injury. So I've just got to figure out a way to get through it. And so my focus was always getting through it. I never looked at, why me? I didn't have a pity party. We had a really great trainer. Her name was Lynette, and she's still there. She was very supportive. Now I was scared and I was disappointed because I felt like I let my team down. I felt like I let my mom down and just other people. And it was a little bit of like shame and embarrassment, not because I'm having a kid, but because I'm in this situation. I had all these high hopes for myself and what we were going to do, as a program. And then I just felt like I let everybody down. So I think that fueled my drive to kind of prove that it's not over, right? Like it's not over. I was just happy that I had the support that I had from my family, and also that they let me keep my scholarship. Okay, because it wasn't like it is now, right? Like it wasn't like it is now. So I was just so grateful that I was still able to go to school and and still play, even being a mom. And so my focus was always, okay, I got to get to the other side. I just got to get through the next. There's nothing I can do about the injury. It's not, the baby is here, so how do I move forward? So honestly, that was my mindset. I never thought about quitting because I knew I didn't have anything else.
That wasn't even an option for you, right?
It was just plan A. Okay, what's the other
There was only one options. And a lot of times, our youth are discouraged against not having a backup plan. But sometimes when that is your only option, that is the way that you find success because you are not allowing yourself to believe that anything else can happen. And you learned at an early age by becoming a mother in college that you are not just a basketball player because now you had to develop so many other parts of Yolanda Moore. You couldn't just be the baller. You had to be the mother, the student. I'm sure you did stuff in the community. How did you feel like that experience helped you to be more well-rounded?
Well, I would have to say, honestly, we did do things in the community as required by the team, but my focus, I was still very much a ball player because to me, that was the only way that I could take care of my kid, right? And so I put everything into that. I didn't give myself the option of, I didn't even have time to explore those parts of me because this was all that I had. And so I became just really had tunnel vision when it came to positioning myself to have a career, to be able to take care of my daughter. But as I moved forward, sophomore year came back and did really well. And then my junior year, I injured my left knee. And so I had to have another knee surgery, right? And again, my mindset was, okay, I've done this before. I've already had one knee injury, right? It's the same injury. It's just a different knee. I've already gone through the rehabilitation process. I know what it takes. I'm older now, even though it's only 2 years old, but I'm more mature. I understand. So I knew that if I put in the work in the weight room and rehabbing my knee, I could come back stronger. Like that was always my goal, just come back stronger. I never looked at, oh my God, I got another injury, my career is over. It was like, no, I've done this before, right? Like, and I didn't even know what I was doing the first time it happened, and I got through it. So now that I've had that experience, now I know how to get to the other side of this. And so that was my mindset, just always getting to the other side, because it was nothing for me to go home to.
And you mentioned how you were looking at basketball as your way out to give you an opportunity for financial success for your family.
Right.
Now you have a daughter, you've got to be able to take care of her and figure out a way for you guys to do better. And you're looking at what professional basketball looks like. So let's talk about your senior year, moving into your basketball season, and how that unfolds as you get ready to potentially launch yourself into the world of professional basketball.
So my senior year, we had a great season. We had a good season. I really couldn't practice or anything like that because my knees were shot. So I spent all my time on the bike. And it was right before we were getting ready to go to the NCAA tournament. I convinced my coach to please let me get on the court. Because see, I was never one of those people who was, oh, I'm not a practice player. I want to practice because I want to put my foot on your neck in practice. Like, I was a competitor. I wanted to compete in practice, in drills, not running though, like not the running drills, but any of that other stuff. Like, I was a competitor. So I convinced him to let me get on the court. And literally, this was the day before we were getting ready to go to the NCAA tournament my senior year. And I tore my meniscus in my right knee again. And so the option was, you can either have surgery and miss the NCAA tournament, or we can, wrap you up, give you a cortisone shot or what have you, and you can kind of get yourself through it. So I took option B, right? Because I didn't want to miss the NCAA tournament. So after that, we lost in the first round. And after that, I had knee surgery. I actually had a contract on the table to go to Italy it was like $65,000. I was so geeked. I was so happy. So of course, this is the third. I'm not even thinking about knee injury. This is the third knee surgery. Like, that stuff didn't cross my mind, because again, I've been here before. All I got to do is A, B, C, D, and I'm back on the court. And I've got an opportunity to go and play professionally. So that's even more incentive for me to come back stronger. Well, a few weeks after I had surgery, I found out that I'm pregnant again. Okay. And it's like, oh, what in the world, And so it was in that moment, like, I felt, okay, do I need to think of something else? And I ended up staying a fifth year in school because I was pregnant, rehabbing my knee. I started focusing on my journalism degree because that was my degree program. And so I was throwing myself into doing TV because I was going to be Robin Roberts Jr. Okay. That was my other plan A. I was going to be Robin Roberts Jr. Right. And so I threw everything into just, learning the craft of being a journalist, being a sports reporter, because I wanted to be on camera. And then lo and behold, you start hearing about the 96 women's Olympic basketball team. And they are just running through people. Okay. They are just, and I watched every chance I could. I followed them. Back then you had Jet magazine, and, there were articles and things like that. And a little after that, they started talking about the WNBA. Okay, so my spidey senses, my antennas go up. Oh.
So now you're thinking, well, maybe it's not over. Maybe I can do something else.
Right, absolutely. It was when, I can't remember if it was Lisa or Cheryl, but I saw in the Jet magazine, and I want to say it was Lisa, or it was one of them. They were holding the jersey, with the WNBA jersey, with the number 1 on the back. And I don't remember which one it was. And I cut that picture out and I put it on my wall, and I said, oh, I'm going to be in that. I'm pregnant with a whole baby, like a whole one, a real one. And I'm talking about, I'm going to be in the WNBA. And I was still going to rehab. I was going to class. I was doing all this stuff. And I was even more motivated because it's like, okay, Yolanda, you've had a kid before, right? You've had knee surgeries before. You came back from all of them. You can do it again. And now you have so much at stake. Just the chance. All I wanted was a chance, to be able to be a part of that. And so that became my focus, at the end of my senior year, that fifth year, up until, I gave birth. And then 4 months later, I was trying out for the Houston Comets.
And that's what's crazy, because the Houston Comets, they were the team that set the precedent for excellence in the WNBA. You ended up being a part of that franchise, but it wasn't an easy trip for you. And, and once again, because I'm your friend, I know this story,
Right.
but I want you to share how you ended up in Houston and what your journey was like moving into that space.
Well, Coach Chancellor, who was my college coach, he was announced as, well, they announced 8 teams, right? And I didn't have family in any of the cities. The closest place that I had family was Houston, because my family's in Dallas, where I live now. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's where I need to go, because I'm going to need support, and it's only 4 hours away. Perfect. I didn't even look at any place else. Like, I didn't even consider anywhere else. Like, Houston was it. Like, that was it. And of course, you talk about a person who's had 3 knee injuries and who's already had a kid. You're pregnant with another one, and you're telling your coaches and trainers that you want to be a pro basketball player, and they're looking at you like, okay, like, okay, like, okay. But I had so much drive and determination, and Coach Chancellor got the job. He didn't draft me or anything like that. As a matter of fact, Lynette and our trainer at the time, well, our strength conditioning coach, Creek Mitchell, at the time, they took time out of their schedules to work with me by myself. Like, Lynette would take her lunch break, and I would meet her, and we would run around Oxford. Or I would go to the gym during her lunch break, and she would come over there and do drills, right? Creek I could work out with the team, and then there were times he would meet me an hour before he was about to work the team out, because I wasn't a part of the team. He didn't have to do it. And he would, take me in the weight room. We'd be on the track, like all of those things. And I got a key to the Tad Smith Coliseum. And so late at night after class, I would wrap my kid up, and I would call some of the football players, and, wasn't no other females trying to go hoop, right? Like, I was the only one. So I would call like football players and track people, like, yo, let's meet up at Tad Smith. It's 11 o'clock at night. We over there playing ball, right? But they all knew what I was trying to do. And so they, like, it was like, so much support from my peers. And it was a lot of support from the people on campus and who worked in the athletic department, And
it's so funny that you say that, because just looking at the progression of things that have happened to you, like with the surgeries and the babies, and just, you would think that the goal to even move forward would be out the window, and Robin Roberts Jr. would be your only goal. But since that WNBA came into play, you were able to lock in and find that next thing for yourself. And you mentioned Coach didn't draft you.
No.
And fortunately enough for myself as well, I wasn't drafted either, but that first year they allowed for open tryouts.
Yep.
Like, people can come in and try out, they're trying to hype up the league, give everybody a level of excitement so they can be a part of it. And so you show up in Houston, Tina Thompson, Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper. What was your experience like with these women, like coming in undrafted?
Listen, so everybody knew who Cheryl was, right? Like, everybody knew. Okay, so let's go back to the tryout. It was like 250 people tried out. Women who were active professional players already overseas. Like, they had already been getting checks to play ball. Like, they had been over there, right? People who hadn't played ball in forever, okay? Like,
Wait. When I went to try it, I tell everybody all the time, there were people in there 18 to 80.
Girl.
Crazy. Everybody wanted to be a part of the league that first year. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Looking around at somebody's grandma thinking, I'm trying to get a job, and you in here playing, trying to get a cheat.
Like,
Okay, go ahead.
They came straight from work to the tryout, and was like, they were getting it in. But when you think about it, this is the first, solid professional women's basketball league. It was backed by the NBA. Like, I mean, this was I totally understood them. Like, at least they could say that they tried. You know what I mean? Like, for a lot of us, that's all we wanted was a chance. And a lot of them knew that they had a long shot. Like, they weren't going to make it, but just to be a part of that. So I got it. But you know, for me, it was Coach Chancellor called me or sent me a message through his assistant coach. And I'll give him this credit. He knew my story, right? He knew that I had all these injuries and things like that. And so he called me and told me that, you know what, I know you want to play, but I think you make a really good coach. And he had arranged for me to have an interview at some school out in California. I was like, okay, well, thank you, but you know, I'm going to do this. Like, this is what I put in the work. Like, I put in the work. And I'm gonna try this. And if I don't make it because I'm not good enough, then I can live with that. But what I'm not gonna live with is somebody else telling me that I'm not gonna make it when I know the work that I had put in, right? So I was at least gonna give myself a chance. And so I ended up going down there for the tryout. All these women are there. And now you remember they only had 4 spots. Well, in Houston, they were looking for 4 people, 2 to finish the regular roster, and then 2 practice players. And so I show up, and Kim Peratt and Cynthia, I think Cynthia had already been assigned. Cynthia Cooper had already been assigned, but I didn't know who she was, right? Because I didn't watch professional basketball. Like, we didn't have cable, okay? So, and they weren't televising. There was no ESPN Online and ESPN Classic and ESPN 3, 4, 5, like none of that. So I didn't know who she was, but we were playing. She was there at the tryouts, right? And you know, she was doing what she does.
Wait a second. Wait. Coop came to the tryouts?
Yeah,
To watch, or was she playing?
She probably was told to watch, but she was out there with us. Like, she was playing. She played. And she had already had her job.
Why am I not surprised though? Anybody who knows Cynthia Cooper, we had her on. Her passion and her drive for sure. That makes perfect. Okay, so you're in tryouts trying to get one of these spots, and Cynthia here.
Cynthia was there. Kim was there, and I mean, like, there were so many people. I think Fran was at the tryout. Jenny Busick was there, who's now coach for the Mavs. Like, it was a lot of us there, and at the end of the day, it was just constant playing. It was kind of like survival of the fittest. You know, whoever's left standing. And at the end of the day, I was awarded one of the 4 spots, but I was a practice player. And honey, I was so excited. I think my salary is like $6,000 or $8,000 or something like that.
Yes, because that was mine as well. It was something. I think it was 12, but by the time the taxes cut it all up, we were down to like 8.
Girl, okay, Monopoly money.
Also well. Mm-hmm.
Monopoly money. But girl, but I was so excited because, you know, we played the game not for, especially back then, and I'm sure if you're a true competitor, you play for the love of the sport. And we knew how big this was. Like, this was a history-making event. So it didn't matter. It could have just been per diem, you know? Like, I was just happy to be there, you know, especially coming. My daughter was 4 months old when I was at tryouts, you know? So I was just so happy, so ecstatic. And then we go to practice. We go to training camp, and Tina Thompson is there. And I didn't know who she was because we played in the SEC. She played on the West Coast. I found out real quick. Okay. I found out real quick who she was and why she was the #1 draft pick ever, the first draft pick ever of the league. I mean, and Jeanette Arcane from Brazil, like, she was like this, you know, she's like a legend. And you have all of these, Wanda Guyton, who was like, if there's a rebound, she's like the female Dennis Rodman. Like, if it's
everyone rebound, coming off the board, she's trying to get it.
She is getting it. Will take your head off in the process, right? So I'm in practice with these people, with these women, and I'm just seeing what it looks like to be a professional athlete. And I was so, I mean, and Cheryl was there. Everybody knew who she was, but just to be in that space. And the biggest thing that I learned in that process, especially from people like Cynthia, you know, like, she showed up every single day as if she was fighting for a spot on the roster. You know what I'm saying? Like, she showed up every day like she was competing for a spot on the team. Just that mindset, like true competitors. I was in heaven.
And that's the thing too, and just and knowing both of them, well, all three of them, and just understanding their mindset to come into a space as a rookie and have these incredible women be your vets, showing you what professionalism looks like. You know, it was incredible, I'm sure, for you. And you went on to win championships with this team, but I'm sure the mindset was established in practice. And a lot of people underestimate the importance of doing the work daily. And, you know, I'll let you speak to your championships, but I want to transition, you know, after you speak to your two-time WNBA championship, but transitioning to how that mindset has impacted you off the court because you've done so many more things.
You know what, the thing that I love, and honestly, I have to be totally transparent because I know that there are young people who play and who are watching this. When you're in it and you're a competitor, it's hard to accept the role that you have to accept when you're used to being the star of the team, right? I can say, looking back, I can see, you know, the advantage that I had just being among them and being able to learn and soak up, learn about work ethic, learn about showing up, learn about the biggest lesson I learned from Cheryl, from Tina, from Cynthia, and from Kim even, because Kim was like the glue and was confidence. Like they were super confident in who they were, not just as basketball players, but as women. And it didn't matter what anybody else, nobody else's opinion of who they should be on the court or how they should be on the court or what they should, like they didn't let it sway them. And they walked in that every single day. And just to see that was so impactful for me. I remember Cynthia making a statement saying that it's okay to be great. I've carried that with me since then, because what people don't know is she was 34 when the league started. She had already been playing 10 years. Okay, she was 34 when the league started.
Listen, and when I played in Italy, I had played against her. And you know, when you go overseas, because I'm a little older than you, but when you go overseas, you don't know who these people are. You just know, wow, there's another American playing on the team. Let me go say hi and see if we can be friends. I was like, what is that? Like, I'd never seen anything like that because I went to Furman. You know, I played in the Southern Conference.
Right.
You know, so I went to a small school, but the level of competition and just, she was incredible. So just imagine what she would have been at 24 and not 34 if the league had started then.
Listen, you talking about, you were saying, what is that? I'm like, what is that? The 17 across, the line drills, she winning them all. Like she was winning, like she competed. Practice was like games. Like, and to see, but I had that same mindset, and to be around other players from different parts of the world who embodied that same mindset. You know, the goal was to win. The goal was to compete. Regardless of whatever differences there may have been, each person on that team respected the talent and the value that the other person brought to the team. And I think that's what enabled us to win the championships, and for them to even go on and to win, you know, the first four and create that dynasty in the WNBA. It's just being able to valuing each other's talent and what they bring to the table, and understanding that, yeah, I'm good, but with you, I'm great. So let's just, you know, let's make this happen.
So, and that's really what you just said is super important, because everybody has to play their role. And no matter how good you are, you can't do it all yourself. So understanding that your level of excellence gets even better when you learn how to play with the people around you and maximize, you know, their talent. But, yo, we've talked so much about what you've been able to accomplish on the court. I want to transition into your life off the court. But first, we've got a question that I want to get Bridget to come in and ask. We have a question from Facebook, I think it is.
Okay.
Yolanda, did you finish your PhD?
I am still working on it. Okay. So what had happened was. So, you know, after you're done playing and all that, you try to figure out, there's a space for us athletes. Okay, what do I do now, because everything that I'd been, everything that I was up to this point was wrapped into the game. I don't have the game anymore. So now what? So I had to figure out what was next. And so I went back to school and finished, my degrees and worked in different spaces and, got advanced degrees. And I started on my PhD and was teaching at the college level, which I enjoyed. But then there was.
But wait, don't bypass the fact that you have other degrees. Let's talk about those, and then you can get to the PhD.
Okay, well, I have a bachelor's degree in English. I also have a bachelor's degree in radio and television from the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, and I have I have a master's degree in workforce development from Alcorn State University, and I've completed coursework for my specialist degree in technology education. So I just have to take my comprehensive exam. And I also am 4 classes away from completing the coursework for my PhD in workforce development and instructional systems. And I was en route to finishing, but then I got this bug to coach. And so I stepped away from that because school isn't going anywhere. But those windows of opportunity to do things like coach at the college level, they are few and far between. So I had an opportunity to coach. And so I stepped away from my PhD, my doctoral studies, to coach. And so that's what had happened.
That's what, and all a very good explanation as to why you took a pause
right
at that time. But you can list the places that you've had experience coaching, but I want to talk about the impact that you were able to have down in Atlanta. And because a lot of people don't understand what culture looks like.
Right.
I know you were able to go down there to this team and create a new culture. So let's talk about what they were before you got there.
Okay.
And 1 year, what you were able to turn them into, and how. More importantly, how.
Well, I when I got to Atlanta, I was contacted by the athletic director. They had success with Coach Walker, who was a former NBA player, and he had done really well. And so he wanted the AD there was trying to duplicate that experience on the women's side, which I was totally grateful. I didn't really know a whole lot about the program, but in the conversation that I had with him, his main goal was he wanted the girls, the players to be have more development as young women, just really help them to understand who they are as young women and prepare them for, as they got ready to transition out of the game. And so when I got there, I took over a team. I think they had finished at the bottom of the conference the year before. They hadn't. I don't think they had done too good. I think it had been about 5 years since they had had some success, 4 or 5 years. And so they had the athletic director. I think he was in his second year, going into his second year. So he was making changes, just making changes. And I took over that team, and we had it was a team pretty much that was there before, that was there the year before. They had finished at the bottom of the conference. And so the way that I connected with them was just trying to get them to believe something different, like to believe that they could win, like believe that who they, what they did last year doesn't matter. Like, this is a whole new year. You got a whole new coach. You got a whole new opportunity to create something, to create something better and to create something different. And anytime you're taking over a new program or a new department or whatever, you change the culture by changing the language, right? So you start speaking the language of success, and you start speaking the language of progress, and you start speaking the language of, just determination and perseverance. And I was very transparent in my own journey with them. As a coach, I've always been very open with my players about where I come from, the mistakes that I've made. Don't just look at the successes, but pay closer attention to the failures, pay closer attention to the mistakes so that you don't have to make those, and learn the lessons. So that's not something like, make your own mistakes, don't make mine, right? And so my goal again was just to come in just to get them to believe different, Rushia. That was like, when you believe that you can do something, like when you believe in yourself, it doesn't matter how skilled you are or aren't. If you have enough belief, like that is the fuel, right? That is the driving force behind you being consistent, you being committed, you working through the process, you trusting the process. Because I absolutely believe that if I put in the work, that I can get to whatever that goal is. But without that belief, then it's impossible to achieve anything. And just teaching them that success isn't something that you do or something that you achieve. Success has to be who you are, and you attract that. So I had to do a lot to change their self-image, like how they saw themselves.
And what I'm hearing, Yolanda, is you saying like that same confidence that you learned in Houston, and you're trying to infuse them with it and understanding that it's a result of habits and things that you do every single day. And
Absolutely.
give that to them. And I came to a few games. At the end of that year, what was your end result?
Well, at the end of my first year, we ended up winning the Eastern Conference championship. We went to the tournament and we won the tournament, and we were able to go to the NCAA tournament. We had several kids that earned all conference honors. We had the player of the year, the freshman of the year, the newcomer of the year. I was fortunate to win coach of the year. And I mean, it was just a great experience. That wasn't necessarily the goal, but when you think about it, winning a championship isn't the end goal. It's like a byproduct of the things that you do day in and day out. So the same way that success is who you are, it's a byproduct, and it hinges on how you see yourself. It hinges on who you are as a person and how you're able to impact the environment and the people in your environment. But here's the key though. You can be a great coach, but if the players don't buy into you, like if they don't believe you, like if they don't believe in you, then it's, you're not a great coach.
And I was just going to say, I would challenge that maybe you're not that great of a coach. You may be skilled and you may understand the game, but being a great coach means understanding the personalities, putting these young people in a position to be successful and having their complete buy-in. And you were able to do that, which turned them around from worst to first in 1 year. And that was that I've always known you and your personality, but to watch you turn those kids around or the young ladies and just give them that amount of confidence, I think it also stems from the fact that your story, you to always believe in you. And so that was your preparation for the other lives that you would impact. And we're going to get off of basketball and just talk about the other things that you've done, because you've written books, you are an incredible speaker, you are able to pour into people and you impact lives. And so let's talk about those things and what you're working on now that you'd like to share with the world.
Well, I did write a book, You'll Win If You Don't Quit, Developing the Heart of a Champion. It's just strategies. It's like just a guide on how to face adversity. Like, what do you do when adversity shows up? Like, you've got to show up. So that's what that's about. But I'm a coach at heart. Like, I love empowering people, and I love the underdogs. I love people who have been counted out and who need to, so that I can be that example that it's never over. Like, it's really never over. It's not over until you quit or die. Like, so it's never over. So I'm a certified transformational life coach. I've done, I've worked with individuals and groups last year, I stepped away from coaching because I personally needed a different experience. Like, I needed to grow and develop just personally and also professionally as a leader in a different way. So I was fortunate enough to be a part of the NBA Assistant Coaches Program, which was a phenomenal program for former players. And I learned so much. But the most important thing that I learned was that my greatest impact does not come from me being on the sideline as a coach. Like, that's not where I can have the greatest impact, because I'm very much concerned about people and players understanding who they are as people and knowing that their value lies in who they are, not on, it doesn't lie in, how fast they can run, how high they can jump, how sweet their jumper is, how, that's all of that stuff can be taken away and you're still left with you. And you've got to understand the value in you, because it's, as women, you know, we as people, but especially as women, especially as African-American men or women, we have to fight so hard just to be us. Like, it takes so much courage and a certain level of bravery to just show up in the world as you, because I have my perception of who I think you should be. And I'm going to try to put those perceptions on you. And if you don't, I'm going to fight you on that. And me taking the time for the past year to really dive deep into self-awareness and understand, okay, God, why am I like this? You know, people call it you're confrontational. No, I don't run from it. I ain't gonna start it, but I ain't gonna run from it. If it's something that needs to be said, I don't mind saying it. If it's a fight that needs to be fought, I don't mind fighting it. If it's the right fight, if it's a good fight, if it's for the right reason, I'm always going to stand up for myself, and I'm always going to fight for the right to show up and be me. And that's not always accepted. And you have to get to a point where I don't care if you understand who I am. I don't care if you like who I am. The most important thing is that I like me. Okay. I know who I am, but more importantly, I know who I'm not. And so I'm not going to spend time trying to become someone that I'm not. I'm going to master me. I'm going to master being the person that I was put on this earth to master, like to become. And so my goal now is to help other people find the courage to be who they were created to be. And that's,
and you know, mm-hmm. And just when you were saying that, it's just, you know, I just remember in my process of retiring, trying to figure out who Rushia was, because like you said, people have their mindset, especially as athletes, mm-hmm. and step further, a Black female athlete, the mindset as to what you're supposed to do and be is there. So that box is where people try and keep you. So right. It is a difficult journey to try and figure out exactly who you are and your confidence within yourself to be more than just that game and allow people to see you with bigger and better dreams. But you've done so many different things. I know our time is running crazy and we're going to wrap it up, but I want you to have an opportunity to share with our viewers like what you're working on now, what your vision is for Yolanda from 5 years from now.
Well, let's see, because I have such a great capacity for life. And it's so many things I want to do. But what I've done the past year, I've been working with some college basketball, women's basketball teams and staffs. I'm trained in the, you know, to facilitate the DISC profile. And so I've been working with them, just helping kids understand their personalities. Why do I respond to things in this manner? And teaching them strategies on how to self-regulate, how to recognize when they're overusing their superpower, right? How to communicate effectively with themselves and be mindful of the negative self-talk and reframing these experiences, and then working with coaches to be able to understand each other and understand their players so that they can have a better relationship. You know, I think now we're at a place where kids want more. Like back then when we came up, just having the opportunity to play and having a scholarship, like that was enough for us. I didn't need my coach to tell me I was doing a good job. I'm going to do a good job because I know I need to do a good job, right? Whether you give me the praise, the pat on the back or not. These kids need a lot more. And so we have to get past the surface level. It's cool to do the TikTok dances, you know, it's cool to go out and have dinner with them and do those things, but it's some inner work. You got to get to know them on a deeper level. So that you can know how to motivate them. You can't motivate everybody the same way. You can't talk to everybody the same way. You know, you can get on to me and it's not gonna break me, but you can't get on my teammate because she's gonna fall, right? So understanding the different personality types, I think, is critical for not just for, you know, players and coaches, but if you run any kind of department or team, like if you are a department head, you're a coach. If you're a manager, if you're responsible for people, a team of people, you're a coach. So you've got to be able to decode that relationship, like decode the communication style. So that's the space that I'm in, just really helping people to get into a higher level of self-awareness and understanding who they are, who they're not, and how to build quality relationships so that teams can work more effectively.
Great answer. That's good stuff. I wish you the best, and I know that you will do incredible things, and I hope to continue to be a part of whatever journey you're taking. But before we sign off,
okay,
to do our rapid fire.
Okay.
So
Okay.
round, I ask you a question and you give me the first answer that comes to your mind. Okay? First one,
Okay.
what was your most memorable win?
The championship game we played against when we were playing against Phoenix. I think it was around when we played against Phoenix to win our championship in '98. I think it was.
98. So the second one?
Yeah, the second one. Only
Second
because I averaged a few more minutes. So I
Okay,
felt like I was
because you got a little more time on the court.
right.
Okay, what is the one loss that still gets you?
Ooh, girl, this is in high school. Okay, we were undefeated. We were ranked number 3 or 4 in the country, and I think we lost to Lanier High School. And we were sick, okay, because they were unranked, and we were like the big stuff, like, and we lost to them.
Y'all underestimated them, huh?
Girl, yeah, you know how that goes.
Okay, who was your favorite teammate?
Ooh, don't make me answer that. I don't know, because I had so much fun. You know what? I would have to say Nyree Roberts. I would have to say Nyree Roberts, because she was always she just didn't, like, stuff just rolled off her back. She always found the joy in everything, like, always. So Nyree.
That's so funny. I talked to her this morning, so I'm gonna tell her you said that.
Yes, please do.
Who was the biggest trash talker?
Cooper. Cynthia Cooper.
Easy enough. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was your favorite or least favorite city to play in?
My favorite and least favorite city is the same city, New York. So I loved going to New York to play because they had great fans and it was always crap. But I hated the city because, like, it's just weird. Like, the driving situation, and I'm from the South, people not friendly in New York. Like, they don't, so it was
Totally different culture.
Yeah, totally different culture. So New York was my most and least favorite city to play in.
Okay, so what are your go-to sneakers?
I love Converse Chuck Taylors.
Okay, I've noticed that. Okay, what is your favorite basketball movie?
Love and Basketball.
Easy. Yo, thank you so much for spending time with us here on Legends Live. And I appreciate you. I wish you the best of success, and I will be chatting with you soon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. This is fun.
Absolutely. Awesome. Very good. So another great interview. Yolanda Moore has spent her time with us today. We want to thank the NBRPA for the opportunity to share Ladies Legends Live and just the experiences of this incredible woman. Anybody who has ever understood a challenge could have learned from the lessons that she spoke today. Thank you guys so much. Love is dope, and y'all have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much to Yolanda Moore and Rushia Brown for joining us today on another episode of Legends Live. Coming up next this week on Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific, Kenny Gaddison is going to be having a chat with Gat and Jim Jackson, 14-season NBA legend, current basketball analyst for FS1 and some other college networks. They will be on the show together this Thursday right here via NBA Alumni on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you would like to watch any of the previously recorded episodes, including today's conversation between Yolanda and Rushia, you can go to legendsofbasketball.com/legendslive. And until Thursday, thank you all for watching. Take care of each other and be well.